Hey guys, welcome in. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I want to have a conversation with you. Okay. This conversation is really about what I think is the best financial, the five best financial decisions that are going to change your life. So, again, I appreciate you being here, guys. As you come in, let me know where you're from, what city, state, county, area of the country, area of the world, continent. Let me know where you're coming in from, guys, as you step in here. I appreciate it. The whole premise for tonight is that most people think their financial challenges um, that are out there are because of the fact that they don't have enough income, right? And I want to kind of dispel that myth on this quick live here today, guys, and say that I disagree, guys. If you can hear me, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. And I see we got some chats already in here. This is awesome, fantastic, good to be here. Thank you for checking in on Facebook. Thank you for checking in on LinkedIn, where you're checking in from. So thank you so much for being here. Just give me a quick shout and let me know where you're coming from, guys. By the way, all right. So let's have the conversation, okay? The fact that I believe personally that financial transformation usually begins with a handful of very intentional decisions that we all have the opportunity to make, right? All of us. Looking back on my own personal financial journey, guys, over the years, I'm going to say the last 25 years or so, from a negative $30,000 net worth to where am now, I can identify several decisions that changed everything. And that's what I want to have a conversation about. In my opinion, if you adopt the five decisions that we're going to talk about tonight and you consistently live by them over the next several years, I strongly believe that you can completely change the trajectory of your financial life. Now, let me just say this. These aren't tricks. These aren't get rich quick things. They're not hacks, right? They're just decisions that changed how I think, how I behave with money, and ultimately how my money works for me. And I think they'll do the same thing for you guys. Let me see where we're at. We got some folks checking in from Canada, British Columbia, Philadelphia, Ontario, DC. Good. Yeah, smash the like, guys, where you come in. I appreciate you being in North Kakalaki up in the Appalachian Mountains. Good evening, Royal. How you doing? We got Arlington, Virginia here, Portland, Oregon, Toledo, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. So as you can see, we're all around the globe. North Florida, is that on the Panhandle side or the Jacksonville side? New York City. What borough are you checking in? We got somebody from Boston here tonight. Excellent. Glad to have you here. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay as we jump into these five financial decisions that are going to change your life. Thank you for checking in. Uganda, way over in Uganda, halfway across the world. Good to have you. Birmingham, Rhode Island, Jacksonville, Florida. We got Hawaii here, ATL. We got them all, guys. Pensacola, Dallas. Appreciate you being here, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So let's jump right into it, guys. The first of the five financial decisions that will change your life and will allow you to stop wasting your time, because you don't want to waste your time or your life. Let me just give it to you like this. Me personally, I'll use myself for this first one. What changed my situation with money was I stopped wondering where my money went, and I started managing every dollar before I got the dollar. Let me say that differently, because this probably is the biggest turning point for me, and I think it's probably the biggest turning point for a lot of people in terms of personal finances. Stop wondering where the money went, like after the fact, and start managing every dollar before you get the dollar. See, every single person that watching this right now has already made a decision about money. Some people decided to manage the money, and some people decided to let the money manage them. That's a decision, because we're all getting money, right? But I believe that managing the money is really the cornerstone for everything else you do. See, most people sort of believe that money, more income. If I can get more income, I need more income. This is why people, that's what they want to talk about. Side hustle, side gigs, etc. Right? And people just strongly believe that if I get more money, it's going to solve all of my problems, all of my money problems. I don't really believe that's true. I know that's like conventional thinking, right? But here's the reason. The people who make the most money don't always have the most money. So that tells me that it's not just about making more money, making more money. Usually, what solves your money problems first is better money management. And I had to get real keen about this and real particular and specific about this, right? Here's the deal. I believe that more money simply makes you makes you more of what you already are, right? So if you're, let me say it like this, if you make $30,000 a year and you're stingy, well, then when you make $300,000 a year, you're going to be stingy too, right? If you don't put like this, if you don't need stuff to make you happy and you're making $50,000 a year, you're not going to need stuff to make you happy when you're making $500,000 a year. One more example, if you buy luxury stuff and you can't really afford it when you make $60,000, you're going to probably buy luxury stuff that you can't really afford when you make $300,000, right? More money magnifies the existing behavior. It doesn't automatically fix it. We think it fixes it. So we're trying to go get more money, but really it's the management of that money that's going to fix a lot of money behaviors. Organization and management creates control, right? And control is what sets you up for freedom in terms of your personal finances and less stress, right? Financial stress often is not just caused by money. Money is the outcome. Money is the ultimate symptom, but there's something deeper going on, right? But most people, they don't know. They have no clarity. They're sort of guessing. They're sort of reacting to what's happening with them with money. And so when you really focus on managing the money before you get the money, that replaces the guessing with more clarity, right? And I'm talking about sort of what I'm talking about throughout these 5 financial decisions that'll change your life. Is that what I'm talking about is sort of money psychology, right? That's why I say you need things like a net worth statement at least once or twice a year. You need a budget. Budgeting, when you budget your money, that's control. That's clarity. That's you on paper, what you're spending your money on, right? So some people think like when you do a budget, it's restriction. But really, a budget is really visibility. You're simply telling your money what to do as opposed to just reacting to what it's a big deal. It makes a big difference. It made a huge difference for me because I didn't want to keep wondering where my money went. Like that's got to be miserable, right? You have no control. So I try to give every single dollar a job, right? Housing, food, transportation. You go down my budget, savings, debt, whatever it could be. It could be any, I try to assign it something so it has a job, right? And when you give your money an assignment, it's going to behave a little different. Then when you do a budget, you're going to see how much money that you have left. And that's important for some of these other decisions that I'll talk about. That little money that you have left after you do a budget and you pay all your expenses, your needs, that's your cushion, right? And the goal really of doing a budget and being organized with money is figuring out how much cushion do I have every month, right? At the end of each month, how much do I have left over that I can do something? See, that cushion is going to create clarity so you know what your next steps are. But the first thing that most people don't do, they don't even do a budget. So they don't even know what the cushion is. You got to do a budget to figure out the cushion so you can actually assign the cushion, right? Just like you assigned everything else. Because once you know what you have, then you can actually be clear about exactly what you can do and accomplish and achieve with that extra money, that cushion left over. But it requires doing a budget first, right? So the cushion is going to always give you options. Now, here's the deal. When I used to do a budget, there was, I say 20 years ago, my cushion every month was like $200, right? I was like barely making it, right? Over the years, because I didn't keep spending more money, the more money I made, that cushion just grew. And now that cushion might be several $1,000s, right? For some of you, that cushion might be $75 for some of you, it might be 7,000. But the whole goal of managing your money and getting clear and doing budgets and all that stuff and being organized is to make that cushion grow and grow and grow. Now, we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let me go back over here. California's in the house, right? Let's see here. We got Tokyo, Japan. We got Pensacola, Florida. Michigan's in here. Good to have you here. We got Dallas. How you doing, Nicholas? We got Kenosha, Wisconsin. BK, Brooklyn in the house, right? Maryland. Got to say it like that, Maryland. So appreciate you guys. Guys, you got to hit the like button for me when you come in, right? This is transformation tonight on a Thursday. We're trying to transform you so you don't waste your life. Lancaster, Pennsylvania, San Antonio, Rhode Island. We got Mission, Lisa Walker. Good to have you here. So we got them from all over. So here's the deal. The first decision, financial decision, that changes your life is simply getting organized with your money, managing your money through things like a net worth statement, a budget every single month, right? These are things that you need to get clarity, because the first thing you got to do if you're trying to get better with your money is you got to get clear with what you have, right? How do you get clear with what you have? You start taking inventory of assets and liabilities, and you start taking inventory of what's coming in and what's going out, right? That's control. And you want control over your money. That's very important. When you get control, it changes the way a lot of things happen in your life, right? The goal with that cushion that you have at the end of your budget is really to do one of three things when you have a cushion at the end of your budget every month. You can either pay off bad debt, you can save the money, put it towards your emergency savings or what have you, or you could invest more, right? So you got some cushion that you can do some things with. That's the point. And let me just stay there. You got to have an emergency fund. That's also a big part of organization, right? It's protection, all right? So before you go trying to make more money, invest more money aggressively, you got to have some stability. Life is going to happen. Car repairs, name it. Medical bills. When you go to the doctor, they're going to say, we need a $125 copay. And you ain't going to have it, right? So you got to be thinking about unexpected home repairs, et cetera, car repairs, whatever it is. You got to have protection. That's when you have protection through emergency fund and you have a budget and you know what your net worth is. What you're doing is that one decision to get organized in all these different areas of your finances, it will change it will change who you are as a person, and that will change your life, right? So that's really important. Once you do a budget, once you have that cushion and you start either paying off bad debt, saving your money or investing more money, whatever it could be, then you organize with your money. That is the first financial decision that will change your life. It's all about control and telling your money what to do instead of, like a lot of people get bullied and pushed around by their money, right? That's a decision that you can make. Matter of fact, you can make that decision right now, right? But it'll change everything for you. Let's go to the second major financial decision that will change your life. Second one is this, and I'm always using myself as a person, as a example. When I changed my financial life, this is a big one, okay? I stopped looking at my job as just a paycheck. Huge, huge. I started looking at my job as capital, right? Listen, you can't play the game of capitalism if you don't have capital. And you know what? We live in a capitalistic society that's 75% capitalism, but we know we got some socialism in there. Public schools, public whatever, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. These are all socialist things that are infused into our capitalistic society. But we live in a largely capitalistic society. That means you got to have some capital. And I looked at my job as a big piece of the capital, not just a place I was going to pay bills every now and then. Think about it like this, okay? This is a different way of thinking. Psychology. Think about the capital that you probably don't even realize you have right now. You got, and this is capital that you can use to help build your wealth and change your financial life, right? You got time. Everybody got 24 hours every day. You got skills, some things that you know, right? You got, think about this, you got access to education. You got access to information. You got, sometimes your health is capital. Your creativity is capital, right? Because it represents what you have within yourself. You got social capital, friends, family, community, church, social networks, whatever it could be, right? You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that can get something done. That's capital. We don't look at it as capital, but it is. You got internet access and you got a cell phone. That's capital. When you stop using the cell phone for selfies and you really understand the power of that little tool in your hand, it's access to information. That's capital. You got cultural capital. We got some people in here from, you said Uganda, but we might have somebody here from Canada, South America, the Philippines. Your culture can be capital because you got shared knowledge, shared taste, whatever you may call it, right? Shared culture. Right? Because that's the frame of reference. That's capital. You got access to clean water, the food that nourishes your body. That's capital. Here's what I'm saying. There's more to building wealth than just money. You have access to capital. One of the big pieces of access to capital that you have is your job, right? The job is capital. And when you're employed, that's a tool where you exchange your time and your skills and your labor for financial money, for money, right? For maybe you exchange it. You also not just get money, but you get experience. You get skills. You get networking opportunities. That's capital that you have access to that you can and should be using to your advantage is a job, right? Listen, you can make two decisions on a job. You can spend the paycheck on stuff, or you can build a future with that paycheck while you're spending it on stuff, right? But you got to start seeing your job a little bit differently. Instead of complaint. Now, listen, I know jobs can be tough and supervisors can be crazy and coworkers can be strange, right? Rude, disrespectful, whatever you call it. I get it. But the one thing I did was when I started looking at my job as capital, I stopped complaining about the job. I know that I know some of you don't want to hear that, right? But let me think about it like this. I looked up an interesting stat. And it said that there are right now, we know we got the jobs report that just came out today in America, right? And I'm going to talk about that on Sunday on my YouTube video. But right now in America, there's an estimated not in America, I said it wrong. In the world globally, there's an estimated 180 million working age people who are looking for a job. Right now, 180 million people worldwide on this planet who are looking for a job. And you got one. You got something that 180 million people want. So think about that for a second. 180 million people would love to be able to go to work at your job and make a living, but they can't. We're looking for work. And here you are with a job. So what I'm saying is, stop taking the job so lightly. This is one of the biggest mind shifts that you ever will make that'll really change your life. Most people wake up, go to work, collect a paycheck, pay bills, repeat, rinse and repeat. I stopped doing that. I started being much more strategic with the job because I looked at my job as an engine. I looked at my job as powering my investments, powering my savings, powering my emergency fund, powering my financial future to prepare. In my opinion, your job is capital and it's producing capital at the same time. So the question becomes, My question to you is, are you using the capital called a job intentionally, or are you letting the job use you? Right? Listen, at your job, I run into so many people who have benefits at their job. Listen, your job may offer you retirement, a 401k or 403b, right? Are you getting a match? Your job may offer you a high yield savings account. Are you taking advantage of the HSA, high yield savings account, the triple tax advantage of an HSA, right? You contribute to an HSA and it reduces your taxable income by what you contributed, right? And then it grows and grows just like a Roth, right? And you get those capital gains. They grow completely free of taxes. And here's the beauty of an HSA that may be at your job, but you're not taking advantage of. When you withdraw money from an HSA and you use it to pay for what they call a qualified medical expense, it's 100% tax-free. You ain't got to pay taxes on it, right? So are you taking advantage of the HSA at your job? If you're not, check with your job, see if they offer it. It's an excellent benefit. Your job may offer tuition reimbursement. Your job may offer a employee assistance program, some type of training, some type of career advancement, skill development. Are you taking advantage of all the things that your job offers? Because your job is capital. No matter what you say, I don't care if you work at McDonald's. I don't care if you work as a plumber. I don't care if you work as a barber. I don't care if you work a nurse. It don't matter. There's things that are offered at your job that you probably aren't taking advantage of. And I'm not saying most, a lot of employees, they don't even look at this stuff, right? We get stuck on the rate of pay, how much we getting per hour, how much we're making per year. And we don't realize there's a whole bunch of fringe benefits, that's low hanging fruit at your job that you could take advantage of, right? So my thing is this: before you try to plant another tree somewhere, first pick the fruit that's hanging from the tree that you already standing under, right? That's your job, whether you love it or you hate it. I'm just saying, right? Take advantage of the benefits that are available, right? You can even think about it like this. When you go to a job, I'm talking about the second financial decision that will change your life. The first one was get organized, right? Do a budget and all that good stuff. The second one is take advantage of the capital called a job. Think about the skills you're getting at the job. You're building skills. Skills, what do skills do? This is one thing I did a whole video on a few weeks ago. One of the reasons you make $20 an hour is because you got $20 an hour job skills. Now, if you want to make $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year, you got to go get $300,000 and $400,000 a year skills, right? Skills are important. You're getting skills at your job. Are you taking advantage to make sure you can get all the skills you can get from that job? You got to wring it dry, right? Because better skills are going to increase your earning power, and better skills are going to increase your options. And more options is what creates choices and financial freedom down the road, right? So let me say this about the second financial decision that'll change your life. Not only is your job capital, but there's capital within you, right? How about think about the gifts and the talents that you have. Those are assets. Those are capital too, right? Many people overlook the greatest asset that they own, and that's the gifts and the skills that they have within themselves, right? A lot of people are looking around trying to figure out what the secret sauce is for success. Well, they don't realize that the secret sauce is you, right? Your unique self could be the key to your wealth. Your knowledge, your experience, your personality, your leadership, your creativity, your gifts, those are all assets, right? And when you discover them, they can change your life. And it's a decision that you can make to discover them. The value you bring to the world is capital, and wealth follows value. The marketplace rewards value, right? When you combine your gifts the value and consistency, that's the side hustle that you've been looking for. That's the side gig that is right in your wheelhouse that you should be doing to try to cultivate and make more money doing. Right? Maybe it's the gift. My thing is, I believe that everybody came to America, to the world, not America, to the world with a gift and a purpose. Why are you here? Answer that question. You're here for a reason. Yeah, you have a job, but the job don't necessarily have to define who you are and what you do and what value you bring to the world. Most people struggle with this question, but your purpose it probably is bigger than the job, right? Your job pays you great, but your gifts, your talents, your skills, your purpose serves others, right? Sometimes, and sometimes they can be the same thing. You could, on your job, you could be fulfilling your purpose, but a lot of times for a lot of people, they're not, right? You're miserable. Why are you miserable? Probably because you're not working and doing your purpose, right? Sometimes, let me also say this about gifts. Sometimes you got to cultivate your gifts and purpose while you're working a job on the side, right? Sometimes, I'm not saying give up your job to go chase your purpose. I'm saying that sometimes you can work in your purpose while you have a job, right? That's possible too. But the whole point is this: look at your job as capital, look at your gifts and your skills and purpose as capital, right? And you get to make the decision to see these things differently. And that decision is the second financial decision that will change your life. Let me go back to the chat real quick, guys, since we're going live here. I want to go ahead and dig into the chat for a hot second to see if I missed anything. Maybe you guys asked a question or something. Keep monthly budget on the whiteboard in the kitchen. Cool. I like that. My mistake. Full retirement age. So see, just looking through a few of the questions. If you got a question, feel free to drop it. I may get to it. I may not. Oh, you're welcome. Real man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Let's see. Catching you from China. What? We're all over the country or the world. I'm sorry. I was laid off. Let's see. Thank you so much, East Coast Kev. Appreciate the super chat. Kev says, I was laid off in March due to a company merger that I prepared for a year for financially. I just feel bad for those who weren't prepared. Yes. Being laid off can be tough. Bottom line, don't ever get comfortable at the job. Listen, good point. Thanks again for the super chat. Let's see, East Coast K. I appreciate you. Yeah, you got to be careful with that, right? And this is why I tell people to think about leaning on your skills a little more than you do, right? When I say skills, your gifts, your talents, right? With your purpose. And some people ask me, well, how do I figure out what my purpose is? How do I figure out what my gifts are? Well, there's a number of ways. You can think about, what do you do well? What do you do well that's hard for other people? What do you enjoy doing? What do you have experience doing? What do people come to you for? You know, people try to ask you questions about certain things. What are they asking you questions about? Or watch this one. You can ask people, you know this, how do I make you feel when I'm around you or when I come around? How does that make you feel? Everybody brings with them sort of an aura, some energy that they bring with them when they come around. Maybe you're a person that makes everybody laugh. Maybe you're a person that's very organized. Maybe you're a person that is, you make everybody feel better about themselves. It could be anything, but that's just some examples of ways that you can go out and figure out, what is your purpose? What is your gift, right? Let's see here. Let's see. Somebody said, any advice for 20? You got to ask what you want to ask. Yost YT. Hey, good to have you here. Cyborg Boxing. Glad you tuned in also. Getting things organized around the house, doing some laundry. Okay, let's go to the third decision. The third financial decision that will change your life is, watch this. Me personally, I'm talking about me. I stopped chasing random investments and I started thinking like an owner and becoming an owner. See, people decide, you decide every single month whether you're going to be a consumer or owner. You make that decision constantly, and most people don't even register that, right? For me, investing became much easier once I understood the rules of investing money, right? So I said to myself that spending equals a consumer. Investing equals ownership. So I needed some rules for investing, right? Let me put it like this. Anything that you see yourself as the owner of comes with rules that you follow. I mean, think about that. Think about what I'm saying. When you see yourself the owner of something, we automatically assign rules to it, right? Let's put it like this. You ever spend a night at a hotel somewhere, your own vacation or something? You ever notice how when you do that, you treat it just a little different than you treat where you live? I know we say we clean up, we keep things organized in a hotel, but we don't treat a hotel room the same exact way we treat our own personal room at home, right? Why is that? It's because you don't own it. When you own, you oftentimes treat things a little different from when you rent. Let me give you another example. Think about your favorite pair of shoes that cost you. Think about the most expensive pair of shoes that you have. Maybe it costs you $300, $500, whatever. You even talk about your most expensive pair of shoes differently. When you look at that pair of shoes, right, that cost you $500, you say stuff like, what do you say? I own a pair of Louboutins, right? You say, I own that Louis Vuitton purse. Yeah, I own a purse. Ownership makes you treat it differently. You might say, I own a Gucci bag, right? But if it's a cheap bag that didn't cost you no money down there at Walmart or something, if for $15 you picked up somewhere at the Goodwill or something, you ain't gonna say I own it. But when you assign value to something, it makes you feel like you own it, right? You try owning a $1,500 Gucci bag. You don't take it out in the rain. You don't put it on nobody's floor. You don't lay it on a table next to some food, right? Some liquids. You hold it a certain way and you got rules for it. Why do you have rules for the things that you own? Because ownership makes you think of things differently. The same thing happens with the assets that you own. When you look at yourself and see yourself as an owner of assets, you think about and look about and think about and treat things differently. Think about it when you invest in the stock market, whether you're buying ETFs, index funds, or even just individual stocks, right? You're buying and owning pieces of businesses. You're buying productive assets that are expected to increase in value over time. So you say things like, I own some shares. I own some of this ETF. I own some of that index fund. And here's the deal. You have rules of ownership for that expensive pair of shoes. You have rules of ownership for that expensive Gucci bag or whatever you got. You need to have rules of ownership for stocks and ETFs and index funds, right? I can tell you right now that most people, when it comes to investing in the stock market per se, most people are just hoping and guessing. They don't have rules of engagement on rules for what they're going to buy in terms of a stock. Most people don't do that, right? A lot of people they contribute to their 401k, 403b plans at work, but they do so without knowledge. They don't, a lot of times, more times than not, if I'm going to ask somebody, what is your 401k invested in? More times than not, people don't even know. They don't have a clue. They just have this employer-sponsored 3 or 4 funds that they're invested in their 401k or 403b. That's all they know. They don't know exactly what's in it. You got to have rules, right? How's it going to be allocated? How is it invested? What are the fees? What is the diversification? Real ownership requires understanding. If you make that a part of this is a part of the 5 financial decisions that will change your life. But if you dig into that, it'll make you incredibly tough when it comes to investing. Let me just talk about these rules because I have some rules. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, Let me do this real quick, because I don't think I've done this yet, but I'm gonna do it real quick. Let me put a free 8 golden rules of investing in the description box for you, and you can have it free. I'm gonna go over them real quick, but you can have the actual deal. You can have it free. So let me figure out where it is real quick. Bear with me, guys. Hang in there with me, man. Hang in there with me. Hope everybody's having a good week. Almost, what are we? Almost July 4th coming up pretty quick, guys. Hopefully you guys got some plans to relax, celebrate, if you will, if you celebrate it, right? It's America's Independence Day, 1776. What are we? It's 250 years, I believe. So let me plug this in on YouTube real quick, guys, so you have access to it. But I want to go over these 8, and I'm going to go over them real briefly, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Let's see here. Let me turn my volume down. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll just put them in here. I'll put it at the top of YouTube. It's in the description right now. The very first link. You guys can go over there and check it out. But that is the 8 golden rules of intelligent investing. I want to go over them because, again, you got to have rules when you invest. First rule is this. I'll run through them real quick. Always invest with a written plan, right? If your money doesn't have instructions on what to do and you're not telling it what to do, your money's going to get lost. Guarantee you, happens daily. The second one, stay consistent for decades. Dollar cost average when you're investing. The third golden rule of investing. This is a rule, and you can adopt these rules for yourself, but you need rules for your stocks and index funds and ETFs. This is a decision. When I decided to invest like this, it changed my life. Third rule was never invest in something you don't understand. If you can't explain it in 2 or 3 sentences, whatever it is, ETF, index fund, stock, bond, whatever, don't invest in it. And if you want to invest in it, just learn about it, right? Spend some time researching, doing your due diligence. The fourth rule is always consider risk. The fifth rule is diversify intelligently. The sixth rule is only own assets that have a real competitive advantage, right? No matter what that is, NVIDIA has competitive advantages. Coca-Cola has competitive advantages. AT&T has competitive. You figure out what that is, but that's what you want to invest in. The seventh rule of investing is reinvest dividends. I like to reinvest dividends because I want that extra compounding with the dividends, right? And the eighth rule is simply never panic. Master your emotions. Now I'm going to drop those rules. You can get a copy of those rules in the description box over on YouTube if you like. It's the first link in the description box, all right? And I think I just plugged it in there. But you got to have rules. This is the third financial decision that will change your life. Remember, the whole idea in this wealth building process is to own more and owe less. So you got to see yourself as an owner. And when you see yourself as an owner, you build rules. That's a conscious decision that you get to make every single day. Ownership, I know we talk about it all the time. Own more, owe less, right? It can be really boring, but it works when you see yourself as an owner. Let's go to the fourth financial decision that'll change your life. The fourth decision that I used to change my life was simply this. I started running my household like a business. This may be the most important decision that you make. When you decide to run your household like a business, it's going to change the way you look at things, okay? Because you're not going to be just paying bills. You're going to be operating a household enterprise. You're going to be like a household LLC, right? And I'm not saying you got to start an LLC. I'm just saying think about your business like it was one. Listen, every business produces basically 3 things they want, right? They 3 things they want access to and 3 things they want to help them grow. Every single business produces a balance sheet. Every single business produces an income statement. And every single business wants profit, right? Every business does what? They look at their income, their expenses, their assets, their liabilities, their profit. Run your household the same way. Let me give an example. Your net worth is your balance is a balance sheet. Because what is a balance sheet in business? Has assets, has liabilities. What is a net worth statement? Has assets, has liabilities, or things you own. Think about your budget as your income statement. Every business has an income statement that tracks income and expenses. Well, your budget tracks income and expenses, right? Your monthly amount that's left over, remember that cushion I mentioned earlier? When you do a budget, you pay all your expenses, you got money left over, that's your profit, right? And every business wants profit. Your household should want some profit too, because you want to do something with that free cash flow called profit. What do you want to do with it? You want to pay off bad debt, save more money, build up your savings, or invest more money, right? That's what you can do with your profit. When you run your household like a business, you are the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. You are the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and you decide where the capital goes. You're the architect. See, when you're building wealth and getting your finances better, you got to think differently. You can't just react to what the money's telling you and all. You have to build systems. You have to build processes, and you ain't got to build systems and processes for everybody else to see. You just build systems and processes that work for you, just like a business, right? So start looking at your household finances that way. Now, before we go to number 5, let me jump back over to the chat and see if we got anything. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Let's see here. I'm trying to save for a furnace before winter, but I keep having to buy things for my car. Just got front brakes. Still need rear brakes. Drums in the back, huh? Now 2 tires. You know what, Justin? Handle your business. Take care of what you got to do in terms of your emergency. And you need an emergency fund is what you need, sounds like. You got to build up some cash, right? That's what I would really focus on doing, is making sure I have an emergency fund. So I got to stop. So I stop digging into what I'm digging into, right? Let's see. That's true. I'm not sure my 401k. Most people don't know where their 401k is invested, right? Let's see. And if you can review it tonight, review it tonight. That's real talk, right? So here's the deal. Let me keep going. Let's go to number 5. The 5th financial decision that will change your life. Appreciate you being here. The 5th financial decision that will change your life. Now watch this one. This is big, right? For me, when I wanted to change my financial life, and I changed my financial life, I decided to change who I was becoming with money. See, I believe that people decide who they believe they are financially. And then what happens is people act that out over the course of their lifetime, unless they make a conscious decision to think differently. In other words, if you believe you're supposed to be broke all your life because everybody before you and your family was broke, you're going to be broke, right? You become the narrative and the script that you run in your life about who you are with money. If you believe you're supposed to drive the struggle bus forever because your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, everybody in your family drove the struggle bus forever, and you believe that you're supposed to take over the reins and start driving that struggle bus, you will. But watch this. The flip side is true too. If you believe that who you are with money is you're supposed to be successful with money, you're supposed to have a 7-figure net worth, you will. If you believe that you're supposed to be a doctor of medicine, you will. If you believe that you're supposed to be a dentist, a lawyer, an engineer, successful in any type of way, the best hairstylist in the state, or maybe the best plumber in the entire East Coast region, or maybe you're the best mechanic in Uganda or in South Africa or in Canada, you're the best mechanic. If you believe that, you will be, right? But if you believe you're supposed to be a struggling mechanic who can barely pay his rent and barely get by, you'll be that too, right? But if you believe you're supposed to own 50 auto mechanic shops in 15 different cities across the United States, you will. See, here's why I say that. Most people try to change money. The problem is the money follows your thinking. The money follows your thinking. Why? Because the money follows behavior too. So thinking creates behavior, and where you go ultimately, what you have ultimately, your success or your not success with money, is based on those two things: how you thought and how you behave. Right? How do you identify yourself when it comes to money? However that is, however you think that is, your behavior will support it. Your behavior is going to support what you think of you. If you see yourself a certain way with money and your identity never changes, your financial life won't change either. So the decision, why is this one a decision? Because the decision that you have to make when it comes to your personal finances, your life, is who are you when it comes to money? Who are you when it comes to wealth? Who are you? You got to understand this, right? This last point right here in order to truly change your life. Where we are, let me say it like this, and people get uncomfortable with this, but it's really true. So I'm going to say it, right? Don't be mad at me. Don't throw nothing at the screen at me, right? But just give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm saying. Where we are today is the cumulative result of our thinking up to this point. Where you are today with your money is the cumulative result of how you've thought about money up to today. How you've thought about money. If you spent the last 15, 25 years of your adult life understanding that you're going to live below your means, you're going to save a bunch of money, you're going to invest a bunch of money, you probably have a bunch of money, right? But if the opposite is true, you didn't think you would have any money, you didn't know how to save money, you just the way you thought about yourself, you're going to struggle. That the results of that shows in what you have in terms of your money. Uncomfortable. I know that's uncomfortable, but guess what? Somebody got to say it. Every financial decision that you've ever made came from the way you thought. Every behavior came from the way you thought. You don't just accidentally build financial chaos in your life. That's not what happens, right? What happens is you slowly think your way into it. Every spending habit, every bad debt habit, every saving habit, every investing habit, all of it started with the way you think. And if you roll it all up over the course of 10, 15, 20, 30 years, here's the result, right? It may be from something you thought 30, 40 years ago. You had an opportunity to go be an architect, but you decided, no, I want to work in a warehouse. Boom. That decision, the way you thought, I can't be no architect. That's too hard. School's too hard. I can't do it. Boom. That thought process led to $25 an hour for the next 30 years. Right? Our financial life follows our thinking because our financial life follows our behavior, and behavior follows thinking. Psychology of Money, right? I know that's a book, but I've never read it, right? But I don't know what's in it, but maybe some of you have read it. But we all have these think about it. We all have these childhood money scripts that are running in the back of our head about who we are with money, our identity with money. And we have inherited and internalized beliefs about money and about where money fits into our lives and how to use it. In order to change that script, you have to consciously and intentionally make a decision to change it, to change the narrative, to change the script. right? These ideas that money doesn't grow on trees, or let's not talk about money. Shh, don't say anything about money. Don't count my pockets, right? Rich people are greedy and must have taken advantage of somebody else to get money. Or here's another thought that a lot of people have. We'll never have money. Or investing is just gambling. Or it's the government's job to take care of us, right? Or how about this one? Where I come from, people, we don't have access to stuff, so we can't really borrow, we can't really build no wealth. Those beliefs become invisible operating systems in the back of our brain. And then 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, guess what? We're wondering why nothing is changing in our personal financial life. Well, it's because you got a script running in the back of your brain about who you are when it comes to money. And your thinking ends up being your reality. So part of what I try to do on YouTube is I try to say, let's change the way we think about money so we can grow. Because for most people out here, it's time to make a conscious decision to change our minds about who we are with money. For a lot of us, it means this: separating your past from your future. Where you came from financially does not have to have anything to do with where you're going financially. Your past is just information. Some people stay stuck in the past, but it's not your destination. It's just information, right? You don't ever want to allow your financial ceiling, and I had to break through all these barriers. That's why I'm able to have this conversation. But you don't want to let what your perceived financial ceiling to be determined by what happened in the past, the mistakes you made. Now, I've made a lot of mistakes with money, but I had to let those mistakes go. They're over. They're done. I moved on. I stopped looking back and holding on to the negative story, because my history of money is well chronicled on this channel, right? I started with nothing. Listen, zero. Okay. Even when I was 30 years old, I had a negative net worth, and I started buying rental properties. Right. But you got to let all those mistakes, your past don't hold on to it as a badge of honor, right? It's not a reason to feel shame. We all make mistakes, right? But forgive yourself with money and move on so you can have a new identity about your money. That's the fifth financial decision that I'm guaranteeing you it will change your life, change your identity, right? And it's really hard for people to sort of outperform the identity that they believe about themselves. So that's why you got to change the way you believe about yourself so that you can go higher, go to another level, do something different, right? You ain't seen nobody do a written budget on a regular basis. Figure out your net worth, build a side hustle, start operating your gifts and your talents, right? Do things a little different. You have to do things different, right? Because if you constantly say to yourself, I'm bad with money, I'm always broke, I'll never catch up, eventually your behavior is going to prove all of that to be right. So you want to have a new way of talking to yourself about money. Oh, that's for me. I can be wealthy. I can be a millionaire too. Yes, I can do that. I can do that. Yep. When you start talking to yourself like that, your behavior will move in that direction and ultimately prove your identity about yourself right. Right? So I stopped seeing myself as a person who was just trying to survive and get by. And I started seeing my financial self as a wealth builder. I'm an investor. I was a millionaire in my mind long before the money showed up, right? That way of thinking changed my actions and behaviors, and that ultimately changed my results and outcomes with money, right? When you see yourself as a wealth builder or an investor, somebody who deserves to have money, you budget differently. You save money differently. You invest money differently. You study the stock market differently, right? You spend money differently. You walk into rooms where you have a little more confidence about yourself because you're in control. And you listen, you need to begin asking yourself this: what would a wealth builder do? Instead of just, oh, what do I feel like doing with my money? No, what is somebody that's really building wealth? What would they do? Because that's my identity now, right? No fear, no anger, no anxiety, no nervousness. Get rid of all that. You can't build wealth with a bunch of emotions and feelings going on. Let me go back to the chat because I just been chatting away. Let's see here. Somebody said, leave your 401k alone. No doubt. Appreciate you, Slice D. I'm not sure how to say that. Let's see. I love your videos. Appreciate you. Live your life. 318. Yeah, no friends video. Who did you structure your trust through, and how do you feel about whole life insurance? Good question. Can I ask you guys mind? Give me a thumbs up if you mind me answering a few questions here. Somebody said, who did you structure? I interviewed a few attorneys, local attorneys in my state when I was building a trust. Interviewed a few attorneys, got a few recommendations, and made a decision about an attorney. If you're trying to do a trust or an estate plan, it's the best $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 you'll ever spend. Okay. And then the person also said, how do you feel about whole life? Here's how I feel about whole life. If you really want to know, whole life insurance has its place. Different types. There's various types of whole life insurance. It has its place, right? I'm not a person that's going to say whole life insurance is horrible. Here's the problem with whole life insurance. It's marketed to people who should have term life insurance. Most whole life type policies are strongly marketed to people who really can't afford a $350 a month premium. The real people that whole life insurance is best for are people who have some wealth, and then they can begin to use whole life insurance products to help them with their wealth. But that's when you got $750,000 net worth. Well, you got $1.5 million, 2.5 net worth. That's who should really be using whole life. The problem is that they market whole life to people making $35,000 a year. That's the problem. The people making $35,000 a year, $80,000 a year, you should have term life insurance. You don't need a product like whole life types of insurance because that's for people who have more money so they can diversify their entire portfolios and do some different things, right? Some generational things. That's what I think about whole life. It's not horrible, but oftentimes it's marketed to the wrong group of people. I hope that makes sense. Somebody said, leave your 401k alone. Good evening back to you, Kimmy Smitty. Is that Kimmy Smith, the same Kimmy that used to come in my lives 3 or 4 years ago? Let's see. I need to work on my money management skills. We all got to work on money management skills, right? I made some real financial mistakes for sure, but I'm learning from it. Fantastic. I'm getting more financially literate. Good for you. Let's see. I was a janitor, not a doctor or lawyer. I'm in my 50s with over $1 million net worth. Congratulations, William. Is that WMI motivation? Congratulations. That's why I say you ain't got to make a lot of money to have a lot of money, right? You don't have to make a lot of money to ultimately have a lot of money. Keep that in mind. Let's see. Appreciate you sharing that with us. I never looked at it that way. The past is the past. Sure is. Let's see. Greetings from Argentina. I told you we're all over the world, different economists, but applying same mindset. It's all about the mindset. It'll work in any economy, whether you're in South Africa, Venezuela, Argentina, doesn't matter. Appreciate you. Let's see. Thumbs up. Okay, gotcha. I'm way behind on what I'm looking at. Spent majority of my adult years helping mom financially. Don't regret this a bit. Fantastic. Absolutely. God will always provide a way. I truly believe this. Absolutely, Wayne. Congratulations to you for helping out your mother. That's a very honorable thing to do. Let's see here. I'm 45 and just saw one of your videos and like your point of view. Where do I start investing? It seems there's a bunch of avenues. Jonathan, before you invest, make sure you got your financial house in order. Before you invest, make sure you have your financial foundation strong. You're doing a budget. You have an emergency fund. You've paid off bad debt. You're getting the 401k match at your job if they offer it. Do the fundamentals well first, right? If you look at the best players in almost every sport, I used to coach a lot of basketball, right? For years and years, coach basketball. The best player was not the person that came in and could dunk the ball really well, right? That's not the best player, right? The best player was the person who did all the fundamentals well. What's the fundamentals? Passing, shooting, dribbling, playing defense. If you could do those four things better than everybody else, you're gonna play on the high school team, you're gonna play on the college level, and you got a real good shot of playing beyond that at the highest levels. Do the basics. How many people we know that can come in and dunk a basketball real fancy, but can't shoot, can't dribble, can't pass, right? Can't play no defense. So what I'm telling you is don't be out there investing, dunking the ball real well if you haven't taken care of the fundamentals. You don't know how to pass, you don't know how to shoot, you don't know how to dribble, but you're coming in, how do I invest? Bloop. No, don't do that. But if you've got all those things taken care of, where do you start investing? You start with learning. You start with educating yourself about investing and educating yourself about you. So the first place you start, go to the description box of this video in YouTube, on YouTube. The first link is the eight golden rules of investing. That's where you start with number one, which is a written plan. Who are you in the investing world? What is your core philosophy about investing? What do you look for in stocks? Qualitative, quantitative analysis, right? What do you look for, or what do you look for in ETFs and index funds? What's your checklist? You got to start with a written plan. That's the fundamentals. That's where you start with investing, because what you invest in is dependent upon how you answer all those questions, right? I could tell you to go out and buy some Broadcom today. I could tell you to go out and buy some waste management stock today. How about you go ahead and pick up some VYM? I could do all that, but guess what? None of that stuff may fit you and your risk tolerance level and your goals and your core philosophy about investing and what you really believe about businesses, right? They may not fit you. So when you see these people that are on YouTube and they're telling you exact stocks to invest in, exact ETFs to invest in, you have to make a decision if that's right for you, because they're talking to thousands and tens of thousands and millions of people. It's right for some people, but personal finance is personal. That's a long answer, Jonathan, but I hope you understood that one. I want to build up my 10,000 minimum nest egg. Good. Let's see. San Antonio's in the house. Got you. Okay. Yes. Okay. Kimmy used to come to my lives. Shoot, 3 or 4 years ago when I was doing lives 2 or 3 times a week for a year and a half or so. So I appreciate you being back here. If your job offers legal service benefit, you can get it for a year. Yeah. Good. Excellent. I turned 30 looking for something good to get involved with or start something new. Nothing wrong with looking at your household finances like a business and then run that business. How do you become good at speaking? Do you have any recommendations? You know what? I don't know. Toastmasters, maybe. Do it. Some people ask me, how do you get good on camera on YouTube? You just got to do it. You go back to my early videos 5 years ago. I was talking slow and I didn't really know what to say. I didn't know where to look in the camera, right? But you just got to keep doing it over and over. And thankfully, I do some public speaking and things like that. And I also was a teacher and a coach for a lot of years. So that helped me. Indiana's in the house. Good to have you here. Let's see here. Save for my retirement. Please do financial video for parents, caregivers of special needs, children, and adults. Good. That's a good suggestion. Let's see. Will you maintain life insurance even after you hit your investment independence number? Personally, I do maintain, even though I'm pretty much self-insured, right? I do still hold a little bit of life insurance for us, but just to have, because it's solid. My wife likes it, and so I say, okay, let's go ahead and have it. Let's see. I use my whole life and it's a mechanism to purchase rental properties. It's been a game changer for me. You got to do the numbers if you do that, right? When calculating your net worth, should you include your mortgage as part of your debt? Absolutely. When I'm doing my net worth statement, I have what my house is worth on the asset side, and I have how much I owe on it on the liability side, because I want to include everything on that net worth. What do you think about trading? Someone is trying to get me into it. I'm not a day trader. I buy and hold when it comes to ETFs, index fund ETFs and stocks. I buy them and hold them for the most part, right? So I'm not into day trading. I don't do calls and puts and things like that. Let's see here. So I just wanted to have this conversation, and I go long sometimes, guys. But listen, everything that I talked about tonight comes back to 5 final decisions that will change your life. You change how you manage your money and get organized. You change how you look at and treat your job and your gifts and skills. They should be looked at as capital. You also need to start thinking like an owner, right? And invest your money like an owner with rules. Go to the description box, and there's 8 golden rules of intelligent investing. Click on the first link. It's yours for free. Finally, run your household like a business, right? You're the CEO or the CFO. And then finally, we talked about change who you believe you are becoming and who you are in this whole process of trying to build some wealth, right? Those are the 5 decisions that took me from really financial confusion to really becoming worth well over 7 figures, right? Somebody once commented on one of my videos, I thought it was really interesting. Let me share this with you. Somebody said, "How do we show your receipts? How do we know that you've done anything? Prove it." They said, how many of you think I need to prove anything to anybody? Raise your hand. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you think I need to prove anything. How do you think I responded to that person that asked me that? Let's see. Somebody said, "Hey, Hades in the house. Good to have you." Let's see here. What do you think of getting 1 Bitcoin? Yeah, you could. I'm not a crypto guy. But how do you guys think I responded to the person that says, "Prove it. Prove you have money. We don't see any money. We don't see anything." Let me share with you what I told that person, because this is what I truly believe. I actually have a couple of videos on this YouTube channel where I went through my net worth on paper, right? Here's what I have in this. Here's my mortgage. I went through that. I haven't done that in about 3 years or so, right? I haven't revealed my net worth in about 3 years. But if you can find that video here, it's public. If you can find that video, imagine what it was back then, 3 or 4 years ago. And then you can just think about what it is today. I stopped doing videos like that. But here's the deal. You're right, Kimmy. I said I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I'm not out here I don't have to show the big watch. I don't even own a big watch, $10,000 watch. I drive old cars. My car is a 2007 Camry. Just went over 200,000 miles. I bought it when it had about 100,000 miles, 95,000. And I just live. I don't live beyond my means. I live a very humble life, and I don't have to prove what I have. I don't have to go on to IG and show anything, or even on YouTube or wherever. I don't believe in having to prove myself to anybody, right? Appreciate that, Kimmy. And that's what I told that person. Why do I have to prove anything? It's not necessary. You don't have to listen to the video. Hopefully you do, because it will help you. Somebody said, "I really enjoy your video. Very helpful as I prepare to leave the workplace in the next 3 or 4 years." Excellent. Second 20-year career. Congratulations to you, Earl Green. First was the military, and thank you for your service in the military. And second is local municipality. North Kakalaki, Carolina in the house. Good for you. Appreciate you. Let's see. Reading The Millionaire Next Door. Yeah. That would be me. Also, when people know your net worth, it brings unwanted attention. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't want any additional attention. If I didn't have a YouTube channel, you wouldn't know me, because I'm not a person that's trying to be, I don't want to be famous, right? I do want to be helpful. I want to be helpful to as many people as possible, right? Somebody said East St. Louis in the house. Man, you guys are still right nose. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the money guidance. You got it. Everything I talk about on this channel is things that I've done, lived through, went through, felt, had to deal with, etc. So if I stay genuine to who I've been and what I've been through and don't try to make stuff up for content, then I'm just being my authentic self every single time I hit the record on the video, right? But I stopped telling people, doing videos about my net worth and all that a few years back, right? There's a lot of crazy people in this world. What you just said is true. And I would hate to have to, go to jail because someone wanted to act like a fool, right? Just keeping it real with you. I'm all about the Second Amendment, right? If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. I don't have to go too deep into that, but just trust me. There's some crazy people out here in the world. So revealing everything I have is unnecessary. Look, I believe that these 5 financial decisions will change your life, and they'll definitely change your money. They'll definitely change how you think and how you make decisions. And ultimately, in my opinion, they will change the trajectory. What a great word. Trajectory of where you're going, who you become, how you think, how you structure your decision making around money, right? Let's see here. You have to have helped me. Appreciate you, Mark. Very helpful. Thanks. Appreciate you, Patricia Jacob. And they're trying to be pocket watchers. JT, check out JT, the pocket watcher. Appreciate that guy. Let's see. What do I think about? What do you this about Amazon? Think about Amazon. I actually just for the first time, since we on it, I actually just bought a little bit of Amazon because I like the direction they're going after reading some of their financials. I kind of like what Amazon is doing. Yeah, Millionaire Mind, Stop Acting Rich, all of them by the great Thomas J. Stanley, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago in a car accident. So the deal is this. My goal on this channel, let me just reiterate this. It's not just to grow this YouTube channel, right? My goal on this YouTube channel is really to help regular people make better financial decisions that change their financial lives. And eventually, I'm going to build Smart Money Bro into a financial education company that reaches families, communities, churches, organizations, nonprofits, whatever. Look, let me just say this. If you know somebody who wants some information, maybe for me to come speak or do some Zoom, let me know, right? Shoot me an email or get in contact with me. And that's kind of where the direction we're going with Smart Money Bro. We're still doing a bunch of YouTube videos all the time, though. But if you found value tonight, guys, do me a favor. Share the link to this live video. It's going to be live on YouTube. It's going to be not live. It's going to be on YouTube. As soon as I get done here, share the link to this with one person who you think needs to hear it. Just one person. You have to hit the thumbs up button for me. Please hit the thumbs up. Please feel free to leave a comment. When I do these lives and people leave comments afterwards, I usually try to go and answer most of them, right? Or respond to most of them. Drop below and let me know in the comment section, what's a financial decision that you made that changed your life? That's what I want to know. Appreciate you guys. Listen, Matabarata, I think I got that right. Just hit the replay. Yes, I do offer one-on-one financial mentoring and coaching. There'll be a link to that in the description box here on YouTube as well. Let's see here. Did I answer anything else? Channel's been an excellent resource. Man, spitting. Blue Sky, appreciate you saying that as I climb out of the financial emotional pit. You can do it. You can do it, right? I'm behind you, man. I aspire to help others like you. Absolutely. I've been blessed financially. Yeah, I've been blessed too. And Lewis, when you get a chance to be blessed, it's a blessing to be a blessing to others. It's a blessing to be a blessing to others, right? Mexico, living in Georgia, studying English at the same time, studying how the money works, investing for 5 years. It's a struggle, but you can do it, right? You got this, right? Man, listen, I appreciate you guys being here. I'm not going to hold you. Get down in the description box. Grab that free 8 golden rules of investing. Also, don't forget, drop a comment, share the video with somebody who you know. Listen, as I always say, the absolute best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Bruce, appreciate you. Until the next video, peace.